So don't you hate when people say that they aren't biased? I mean, come on. For real, we all got some kind of biasness to us. We either like one thing more than the other, either that's people, places, things, games. But on the contrast, it doesn't mean that just because you like one thing more than the other that you gotta hate other things because you don't like those things. That's, for Twitter. But that thing for me, where I'm biased is Final Fantasy VII. I mean, the original Final Fantasy VII that dropped way back in 1997, ironically enough, I wonder if they did that intentionally. I never looked into that. But it's my second favorite game of all time, behind what I consider the GOAT game in Chrono Trigger, which, by the way, I still don't want to see in HD 2D. Not that I don't like the style, I just feel, CT already did that in a similar style back in 95 with the Dream Team. And me personally, I give it that Kakarot, Sandland, Akira Toriyama, who drew Chrono Trigger, Dragon Ball, Dragon Quest, that DQ7 reimagined with not the big goofy heads, but that kind of art style. Anyway, I digress. This is not about Chrono Trigger. This is about Final Fantasy VII and the remakes and what went wrong. What really went wrong? Why weren't people as receptive to these games as they were to the originals, or say an up-and-coming game like Expedition 33? First things first, I have to say this is not 1997 Square Enix, where you can make an exclusive AAA massive title game and expect people to buy it on the platform that you want to put it on. Nowadays, we have the option to play on whatever platform, console, PC, or system that we want. And I get it. JRPGs aren't really good on Xbox, but damn it, you could have put the games on Steam, even if it was within the same year that the original dropped. Having it wait years, that slows down your money. What you doing? I thought you had no more exclusivity anymore, but all right. I also feel that Final Fantasy VII Remake did better than Rebirth because not only were we going through a global miasma in IRL in 2020, but because we, the Final Fantasy fans, have been waiting since 2014 when that first, at Tokyo Game Show, that first tech demo of Cloud walking through Midgar with the Buster Blade, that when we finally got a chance to see it, we were excited. Also, we were all sitting at home at the time, or, essential working. But fans, including myself, were surprised to find out that, not only were some liberties taken with the remake, and it wasn't exactly the same, there were some things that were taken out. Some additions, like Jesse, which stole the show in the original game, remake, right in the beginning of the game, were welcome. I mean, we got a chance to get her, Wedge, and the rest of Avalanche a deeper backstory, which I really liked, and to find out, especially when you start going into Rebirth later and finding out that Jessie was actually an actress and stuff. I thought those character development nodes and beats were really good within both games and how those things carried over, and we got to like to see, more about characters that was only briefly in the original. But other big moments that I feel were left out or they weren't emphasized enough. Here's an example. Well, one of the biggest things for me was that Cloud and Tifa moment, that Starry Night scene. It didn't even have a fraction of what I feel the original had. I mean, it made you feel something for Tifa, and it was supposed to. you know, it was like them talking about their supposed deep bond and relationship that her and Cloud had. But they kind of glossed over it so much in the remake that I was like, it didn't carry the same weight as the original did. Not to mention that the intent for the whole Starry Night scene was just setting it up so when you did meet Aerith, it kind of made you have to choose which character that you really wanted to like. Instead of the Starry Night scene and the writing being a little more tapered down, what they did is allowed you to go on different side quests with both Tifa and Aerith, respectively, which I enjoyed, but it would have been more impactful if we would have still got that original Starry Night scene and some of the original situations that happen within the game. And speaking of Aerith, this ain't a spoiler, but I guess it is, but most of y'all who been watching this video and played any of the games, you know Aerith dies. And from at least where I'm at, finishing Rebirth, which I wonder why they call it Rebirth, because she didn't rebirth. And I think that was just like almost clickbait or click by, because she didn't rebirth, and that's the name of it. We all know that Aerith's gonna die. So, why watch the movie? Or even, you know, more so, why play a 100-hour game when you know it's pretty much going to be the same result? Now, they do have something with the dimensions and different things that we see that could be possible and happen in a multiverse type situation. Zach's there, and a lot of people hated a lot of the confusion that they were doing. And I understood that some of these gaps and holes that they were going to face from trying to take a 1997 game and just fully like make it verbatim. They wanted to take certain liberties to try to keep new fans and old fans interested in it. I didn't mind those different things. It's just that with a combination of some of the beats that they missed did kind of make me question and scratch my head like, okay, so what are you doing and where are you going from there? It's kind of like modern gaming now, but instead of DLC, leaving it out like a lot of games do for DLC, Final Fantasy or Square Enix leaves things out in order for them to push it to the next game. And I don't know, it just didn't feel organic, even though a lot of other things when it came to the magnifying glass over certain characters, like I was mentioning with Jesse, Wedge, and Biggs, they put the microscope underneath them and it opened up their stories and their world a lot more. But other things beats that were missing. Where was the City of Ancients? I mean, the actual capital, the actual city of the Ancients, which is such a big, like, huge moment within Final Fantasy VII, the original, and that was only on disc 1, the original game where you go in and you're going around these corridors and then you hear that clean ass beat while you're exploring the ruins of this ancient first race. I mean, those little beats were left out. I love the temple that we were in, but couldn't we go through the capital and then go through the temple? You know, or vice versa? It felt like at the end of Rebirth, they left a lot of meat on the table. It was a lot of food left, you know? You just threw it away. Where was Wu-Tai, by the way? The chocobo breeding, Wu-Tai, those things, again, are like the DLC of the game. They're going to be left out and probably used for, which I've been dubbing Revelation, since Crisis Core already had, you know, Reunion, which Reunion would have been nice with all the dimensions and everything going on. But Revelation, you know, i.e. the truth, which is, to me, it seems like that would be the most logical thing. Watch they come up with something crazy like rivalries or something. But it would be what's really going on, and is Aerith alive with Zack in another dimension? But those are just theories at this point. Another thing was Sid stopped smoking. Sid stopped smoking. We got no Rocket Town, which is probably going to be left for next game. And when did Sid become a pretty boy? Pretty Ricky, what they call him. And neither him nor Vincent were actual playable in this one. So you couldn't even experience Sid fighting alongside Aerith and Vincent, which were pretty good teams with Aerith and Vincent. She's gone. So you missed another key beat. And I feel that with Sid in the game, even though he was just your cargo buddy, the dude that would just escort you around, he was your plain Uber in the game. All that extra space and time that we had to explore, which I felt was a beautiful open world, was kind of lost because we should have been able to play with Vincent and Sid instead of them just standing there. The game emphasized on more of a Western style of gameplay with an abundance of, open world and quest class elements that the original didn't do. And while I liked it, a lot of the world or a lot of the things that were going on, you got lost in it because there was so much stuff to do. A lot of people hated Chadley, and I was telling one of me and my homeboys was debating about it, and I was like, bro, the reason why you don't like all these quest and fetch is because you play a lot of Western games. And this gives me to one of my major things when it comes to the whole thing is Square Enix is very upset or looking at Expedition 33, a AA studio who just dropped their first game and sold 4.4 million. When they're estimated to do at 2 to 3 million, and they really haven't openly talked about how many they've sold. But it's not so much that Expedition 33 is revolutionizing everything. It's that they stuck to the lane that they wanted to do. Square Enix with Final Fantasy has decided that they want to cater more to the Western market than what their roots were with what's pure fantasy and not just medieval stories and pretty boys, and I'm talking about you, Noctis. I'm talking about the boy band. I'm talking about a lot of these different liberties that they took after Sakagachi left. After Hironobu stepped down is when Final Fantasy it lost some of its true essence of being Final Fantasy. Also, there was no Junon. We got the mini games, which I liked. It was tough. Some of them things was hard. But again, that's to my point. We know certain elements were going to be held for the next game. I've been calling the game, again, Revelations, because he's going to find out a lot of truth about a lot of stuff. Was Junon hidden or destroyed, or what happened to a lot of things within the game? And I know a lot of people talk shit about some of the anime antics or things that were going on in the game. Like I was watching a video of somebody talking about how goofy that Yuffie was acting. And I'm thinking while I'm watching the video, now that element of Yuffie talking real animated, if you played the original, that's kind of like who Yuffie was. Also, I liked the extra depth of Nanaka, i.e. freaking Red 13 talking his age like a 14-year-old with a soft voice, and then with the rest of the party for most of the game, he was trying to be tough and sound like a 48-year-old old man. I liked those little elements within the game, but then some of those things got lost when we have a gigantic wall market extra scene that felt like we didn't necessarily need. I mean, it looked pretty, and I'm talking about the Aerith, in the red dress and stuff like that. That was nice, but I think a Genesis or Angel poster or cameo or something that delved into more of the history, the mythos of the story would have, held more weight. But don't get me wrong, I love Rebirth. And sometimes I feel like I'm the only one that loves Rebirth and put all these damn hours into it. But where was Tifa's orthopedic underwear? I mean, yeah, you try to be politically correct, but certain classic elements like that were like cult classic moments could have been handled differently, or they were just taken out. And one of the biggest things that was taken out of Rebirth was the ability to play as Sephiroth. Well, it wasn't taken out, it was added in. And I feel that by being added in, it actually took away from Sephiroth as a character. In the 1997 version, when you're watching Sephiroth slice up a dragon and you're not being able to control him and you're just looking from Cloud's viewpoint, held a lot more weight than just sitting here looking at or playing with Sephiroth, and his battle style didn't fully... he wasn't as tough or as strong as he was in the 97 version. Even if they would have just made him like an AI or a non-playable character within the battle, and he's out here just, slicing and dicing. But I felt it lost some of the steam when we actually got a chance to play as him. Look, again, at this point, I'm nitpicking. Because I did in all aspects, well, not all aspects of that damn Zach's hometown, but I really enjoyed the game, which is why I feel that if you love something, you can give it an honest, a legit, constructive criticism. There were things in the game that I really liked. The open world, the infinity meter, although I did get Barrett on the date. Barrett's wife, being able to see her, and she was a sister. I was sitting there praying. I was like, man, please let that man wife be a sister. Don't give him the live action Cowboy Bebop treatment, even though Mustafa did the best in that damn Cowboy Bebop live action that was on Netflix. But anyway, it was certain elements I really enjoyed. Queen's blood, the fact that some of the party members you weren't using in battle were throwing things or shooting or would randomly heal you in the backdrop. I actually liked the battle system, and I think that one of the things that, again, that it's not a battle system thing that has made Final Fantasy lose some of its steam. It's kind of catering to the Western audience, making your games, which they originally weren't, overly European to cater to the Western market, instead of focusing on what the tried and true things that made your game great, in the first place. Characters, story, and this fantasy world that engulfed you with love elements, like from all the way from, 5 all the way into 10. So for 10, 15 years, one of the main elements of Final Fantasy was love. But with Lightning, she didn't care nothing about Snow. They didn't have like a central romance or anything, and he was in love with her sister. And then we got Luna Freya, but never got her DLC, and she wasn't a playable character, or nor was Cindy. And then in 11 and 14, which I still personally don't consider Final Fantasies in the main line. I mean, hey, they should have been called FFO, in my opinion. Final Fantasy Online. Just imagine if Xenoblade went a full hyper-realistic look, and it took away some of the fantasy elements in place for, more a European medieval centric tone. The game would lose what made the game, But there's a lot more I could say. Honestly, I could be talking about this all day. But anyway, what do y'all think? Did y'all like the remakes? What are some of the nitpicks that you have about the remakes? I didn't even mention that the fact that it's 3 separate games. In 97, we got one entire game. Personally, that doesn't bother me. I get it, because look at the game. They didn't have that technology. Imagine how big the files would be. It would take up all your damn PlayStation or if it was this game all on one disc or all on one drop. And the game would probably be 500, 600 hours if it had did all three of them at one time. But anyway, chime in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that like button. And if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate y'all. That means you should subscribe. And as always on the web, eat, sleep, geek, repeat. I'm gonna holler at y'all on the next one. Peace.